Speaker Pelosi, Treasury Secretary Mnuchin going head-to-head there on the Sunday shows about unemployment benefits. They are going to meet again, 1 p.m. today, so that's about a couple of hours' time. Stephen Moore joins us. All right, Stephen, I think we're going to get a stimulus plan no matter what. The politicians cannot resist spending some money. Are you for it or against it, regardless of what's in it?
Well, Stuart, what I basically laid out in my Wall Street Journal piece today is that Donald Trump does not need to negotiate with Nancy Pelosi. And this is something the White House is really looking at. Donald Trump can unilaterally, without any support from Nancy Pelosi or the House Democrats, can basically suspend the payroll tax for the rest of the year. He has the executive authority to do that, to not collect the tax. That would be an enormous stimulus for the economy. And by the way, the $600 a week benefits that are so pernicious, that are paying people in many states twice as much not to work as to work, and that's just not just bad economics. It's unfair to the people in this country who are working hard. He can get, obviously, that's suspended automatically because it ended on July 31st. So my point is, I don't see any utility right now from Donald Trump continuing to negotiate with Nancy Pelosi. There is not a single thing that she is in favor of that is good for the economy. I've read through her $3 trillion bill. It's all just giveaways to left-wing special interest groups. So Donald Trump, just do it. Just suspend the payroll tax, stimulate the economy that way. And if you want to make some separate deals with Pelosi, great. But right now, Stuart, this phase 4 negotiation is looking like a train wreck. It's going to ruin the Republican Party. It's going to split the party down the middle, and it's going to enact a lot of provisions that will not do a lot of good for the economy at all.
Stephen, you're speaking as an economist.
Yes.
This is an entirely political situation.
It is.
There's a political dynamic here. 3 months before an election, politicians want to spend money. They want to go back to their constituencies and say, look what I did for you. There's no way around that, Steve. No way around it at all.
Stuart, you're wrong about that. That's the point of my piece in the Wall Street Journal today. There is a way around this. There is a way to stimulate the economy in the months ahead before the election in a way that is very, very popular with the American people. It's to stop the withholding of people's payroll tax and their checks. You're talking about, Stuart, and by the way, the legal authority is absolutely clearly there in the statutes. Donald Trump could stop the withholding starting tomorrow, and that would mean a 7.5% pay raise for you and for me and for everybody watching this show who has a paycheck. What would be a better way to stimulate the economy than that? Meanwhile, Nancy Pelosi wants to give $500 billion to the states, states like Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, that have acted incredibly fiscally irresponsibly for the last 5 years. You know, what is the point of that? That's only going to redistribute income from red states like Texas and Tennessee and Florida to states like Illinois and New York and Connecticut. So do it, Mr. President. You got the authority.
Okay, Steve, a separate subject. I want you to deal with it for a second. Have you seen what's going on in Melbourne, Australia? A second full-scale lockdown, complete lockdown, Victoria State in Australia. You don't want that to happen here, do you? But it's a possibility.
So this is a really important point. Obviously, the most important thing for the economy, far more important than these trillion-dollar stimulus plans, is to keep the economy up and running. And, you know, the evidence is so crystal clear that states that had massive lockdowns in their economy had actually higher death rates than states that didn't. There is zero evidence that these lockdown of our business. Now, look, I'm not saying people should act irresponsibly. You should wear a mask. You should social distance. You should stay out of crowded bars with bad ventilation. But the idea of shutting down businesses, I mean, we've created something like 8 million new jobs in the last couple of months because we did start opening up the economy. Do Democrats really think the right solution is to shut down everything again? We'd lose another 8 to 10 million jobs. We've got to get things up and running, Stuart, and we can do it in a safe way. This is a very serious moment. You have a number of states that are locking down again. They're making big mistakes. By the way, Sweden is the story of a country that never shut down, and basically they don't have a COVID problem today.
That's very true. Steve, thank you very much for joining us. All good stuff, and we appreciate it. We'll see you again real soon. Thank you, Stephen.